Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Selenex Crypto. Hope you're all doing great, and welcome to this new video and this morning update here on Ethereum. We'll talk about the current situation for Ethereum. We'll talk about the long term. We'll talk about the fundamentals. We'll talk about the short term. Yes, that's a lot, but I'll try to make it all fit into this 4 or 5 minute video if I can. I mean, there's a couple of things that I really want to discuss in terms of the technicals. I have some very set price targets. We'll talk about whether we can reach them. We'll talk about whether this price action we've seen so far following the breakout on Tuesday, if that's good enough to actually expect a move into our main price target at this point of time, which is, to keep it simple, 3,500. I mean, it's a little bit lower, to be fair, at 3,480. Where we have a high confluence zone of the previous quarter VWAP and filling the entire liquidity gap that we have to the upside here, which is that red zone, which you can see right here. We created the 13th of November, almost filled that, did not completely fill that. And I do want to see those liquidity gaps filled completely for them to be invalidated. So that still, acts as a significant resistance level. However, first I wanted to talk a little bit about the fundamentals. I mean, fundamentally at this point of time, and I've said this already in similar words when I did my long-term Ethereum thoughts, and I spoke about that just yesterday. My long-term thoughts on Ethereum are just not amazing. I mean, I think the structure break we had below 3,800 has not been amazing. I think in terms of structure at least, that's very bearish, and we would need very, very bullish fundamentals to break above that. And in my opinion, at this point of time, like, I can think of some fundamentals specifically for the, generally for the entire crypto markets, when we're talking about US regulation, for example, as to why we can expect bullish momentum in crypto. But at this point of time, I'm not too optimistic about Ethereum specifically. I mean, if you take a look at the stablecoin market cap, that has essentially been flat since November. Which is in line with the general stablecoin market cap. Like, it's not the case that other blockchain networks or other networks in general are now surpassing Ethereum. Definitely not the case, but still, it's not great. DEX trading volumes are also extremely low after their highs in August, September, and October. That's bad. I care a lot about DEX trading volumes. That actually is one of the key things that shows you how much activity there is on the network. And then outside of that, the entire thing about BitMine buying 5% of Ethereum, I'm not sure what I think about it either. I mean, I guess it's not bad short term, right? Because it's buying pressure. But ultimately, what would that mean? What would it mean long term? Especially if you take a look at their average buying price, which at this point of time is not an amazing average price, and especially if you compare that to the average price that Strategy has in buying Bitcoin. But okay, so that's why fundamentally long-term I would be relatively careful. I have to say though, if I talk about this recent price action, aka the breakout above 3,220, and now the time and space that we're forming above that, I like that a lot. Okay, very often what you see is that the most successful breakouts are the breakouts, this is the range, are the breakouts that actually break out with some margin, consolidate above that, spike down, and then rally up higher. So I think from a technical perspective, and also if you look at the fundamentals in the general financial markets, equities, oil, yes, that matters sometimes. If you look at all of that, I think more bullish momentum is definitely a possibility. We still have that gap here to the downside at 3,220, where, if you may remember, we also have the value area high, and the 7-day rolling VWAP is getting into that. So I would say it's, generally my general prediction is a move into 3,480. I think that's still most likely from the current price action. I would say it's very likely, though, that before we do that, we consolidate a bit longer, spiked down into that area at 3,220, and then from there rally up higher. And that will also be a very important measure point, as in that we do need to get a very strong reaction there. If we get a weak reaction there, I would still say there's an opportunity to just place a limit. I mean, if you have an invalidation level in mind, there's nothing wrong with taking a loss there, right? Because, but it is true that we need to get a strong reaction there. If we get a weak reaction there, if we, for example, drop down all the way to 3,160, which is also a support level, also liquidity gap. If we push all the way down into that and we do not reclaim 3,200, so we do something like this, I mean, that's extremely bad. And then we're back into the range, and then we can fall down into 3,040 before you know it. So that is something I think you need to be aware of, and something you need to be slightly, cautious for. But I would still say that this is most likely, okay, so that we do get a strong reaction there. So those are my thoughts. Thank you for watching, everybody. Take care. We'll see you all in my next videos, and bye.